Let me just read a little bit of your piece, Ellie, because it spoke my soul, and I reposted it on Threads. Hopefully everyone will read it all there or on The Nation. You wrote this, and this spoke my whole spirit. At this point, people who expect anything less than the maximum partisan thuggery possible from the Republican justices are not paying attention, or worse, they're actively lying to themselves and the American people about what the Roberts Court has become. The question has long since ceased being whether the court will help Trump. The question is only how it will go about doing it. Say more.
Can we speak as adults for a second?
Let's please.
Because nothing that happened today with the Supreme Court being in the tank for Donald Trump is surprising to you.
No.
It's not surprising to me.
At all.
It's not surprising to your viewers at home. You know why? Because we're not stupid, all right? Donald Trump called his shot months ago. He said, my Supreme Court justices will never let this happen to me. And he was absolutely right.
Yep.
So with that information, my question to the American people is now, what are you prepared to do? Because the Supreme Court has exposed itself as a partisan institution full of hacks that will do everything in their power to protect Donald Trump and make sure that a Republican can be elected, not just in the next election, but in every election going forward.
Yeah, I mean,
so what are we going to do about that? And my answer to that, obviously, is that you cannot do anything in this country unless you expand the Supreme Court to take away their power and, as you say, start removing some of these conservative justices who have already expose themselves as criminals and liars.
And in many sense, also perjurers before the United States Senate, when they got up and said stare decisis and lied about respecting precedent when it came to Roe v. Wade, lied to the faces of senators and got away with it. Professor Yoshino, today, Elena Kagan, and again, I'm just listening to this as a regular schmuck. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, although I hang out with them on TV. But even listening to it, I didn't even hear them try on the conservative side to make a constitutional argument. Once or twice they said Marbury versus Madison just to make it look good, like they did their homework. But they weren't even trying to pretend that they had some basis in the Constitution for what they were saying. They were just saying, well, you know, maybe if we remanded, how would this help us? They were literally just trying to help Trump's lawyers with the case, to the point where Elena Kagan got the Trump lawyer to admit that he thought a coup, staging a coup, would be legal. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that was actually, you're hitting the nail on the head, because that was the most alarming part of the oral arguments of this parade of horribles that the liberal justices and some of the conservative justices were putting before Trump's lawyer. He was completely unfazed by that. So this kind of normalizes extremism. So as many of your viewers will recall, in the D.C. Circuit, the killer question that Judge Florence Pan, asked of John Sauer, Trump's lawyer, was if the president ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political opponent, would that individual would the president be liable criminally, To which the answer is, of course, yes, they would, No one is above the law, But John Sauer's answer was, well, it depends on whether he was impeached and then convicted, And so at that point, my jaw's on the floor, because I think that is an insane reading of the impeachment clause, the impeachment judgment clause. But it's also a very, very weird response that goes right to the rightmost edge, of political extremism. So I thought he's going to clean it up when he gets to the Supreme Court. He's going to practice this. He's going to moot this. He's going to do it over and over again. Justice Sotomayor asked exactly that same question of what happens. And then he said, the same answer. The president would have to be impeached and convicted first. And basically at that point, Ellie and I were talking about this before, I thought this guy has made a bet. He's made a bet that if he just survives in the district court and the appellate court, he's going to be in front of a much more friendly audience. And he can make that argument and they will buy it and or throw him a lifeline. And sure enough, Justice Alito said, well, of course, that hypothetical was complicated because SEAL Team 6 has to obey the law. Unlike the president, SEAL Team 6 has to obey the law. And so that was what was alarming to me, is you had the highest court in the land sort of entertaining hypotheticals and having a serious argument that really normalizes extremism. And this is how extremism manifests itself in nation states,
And
which is
none
to
of
say
us
we're going to go more and more to the extreme, and then ordinary institutions of justice are going to accept that.
And none of us at this table believe that they believe any of these rules apply to Joe Biden.